episode of the Weird Obscure World podcast.
Just a couple of stars, wearing skin suits, traveling through space and time. Being hurtled, actually.
On a rock.
On a rock.
All right, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Welcome, everyone.
Yes. I'm Jared.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Betsy.
Last week we covered kind of the birth of the Satanic Bible, I guess you'd call it, with Anton LaVey. Got a couple of corrections.
Yes.
The afterbirth, yeah. Got a couple of corrections. Talked about Jane Mansfield. She did have ties to Anton LaVey, but she was not murdered by the family. Got a little mix up there, but she was an actress and a well-known figure at the time. He seemed to draw a couple of well-known figures to him.
I wonder why that is. Do you think maybe their upbringing? And for you listeners, if you can't hear me, I've been very, very sick.
Yes.
So I'm gonna let Jared take most of this podcast, and I'm gonna try and clean up my vocals a little bit before we drop it.
Yeah, clean up as much as she can. She come down with a bad cough a couple days ago. It's actually held off our recording schedule for 2 days while she tries to recover her voice. She had no voice the last 2 days, and today she's a robot.
Or a frog.
Yeah, or a frog. Shall we jump into the news?
Yeah, you go first.
All right. So we've all seen Harry Potter, right?
Yes. Very popular show.
It's it's a great show. Honestly, I liked it myself. I watched it again last year. Thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. Well, Minneapolis, Minnesota will be establishing a new franchise in the up-and-coming sport. I did not know this. There is a Major League Quidditch, Betsy.
There is not.
There is a Major League Quidditch. I'm sending you the details as we speak. So, Quidditch
Major League Quidditch. Quidditch was done on flying brooms.
Yes, it was.
They do not run around with brooms.
Oh, but they do. The first match is played back in I want to say 2012, just in a local college there in Vermont. They played essentially a mix of field hockey, maybe some lacrosse in there, holding brooms between their legs while they ran around.
That is seriously, like, you're going to impale someone. If you look at these pictures that you just sent to me, like, they need to be wearing eye protection.
It would lessen the value of it. But it's fantastic. I love it. I'll tell you why I love it. Because it's not a sport where, I mean, at this moment, in the future, if it did become super popular and actually made an income for people, but at this moment, it's not a sport for super athletes. It's a sport for kind of regular people. It's born out of the Harry Potter novels on a college campus with ingenuity only the 20s can harness.
They are running around with what appears to be PVC pipe cut to broomstick length.
Yeah, or maybe a little shorter than broomstick length.
And they have to hold it between their legs while they run.
Yes, they do.
What in the actual hell is happening to this generation?
Well, right now there's 12 teams separated into 3 divisions.
Stop it.
There are. Now they're all on the east. Salt Lake had a team, but it couldn't get field time. Boise had a team, but it got kicked out because they fought a lot. They got in a big fist fight with Salt Lake's team, and that got them kicked out for like unsportsmanlike conduct.
Well, they're carrying weapons. One false move.
It's a PVC pipe, and who knows? Maybe it's made of something that's not so hard. And you can watch videos of them play, and it's actually very entertaining.
I'm sure. As is the stick horse races.
Yeah, that's next week.
That's exactly what this reminds me of.
But it's not. It's a real sport. They replaced the broom with a pole, right? Sounds awkward, but that adds some extra challenge to the game. A volleyball has replaced the quaffle, which was the ball they threw through the rings. And they have 3 vertical rings on each side of the field. The field looks like it's probably maybe 40, 50 yards long and 25 yards wide, right? It has lines down it much like hockey would, which maybe it has some rules that you can't run from one side to the other carrying the ball. You have to do maybe a lateral or a reverse pass with the ball, much like rugby has. You know, I'm thinking that's probably how it's played. I haven't dug in too deep into the details. I've watched many videos of their championship games, and they're great. Dodgeballs have replaced the bulgers, which are the clubs and the big ball that people use to dismount other witches. But in this case, they've got a dodgeball, and it looks like they only have 2 on the field at any given time. And so if you get it, you don't want to throw it at the other team because you take a chance of your team losing it. So most of the time they just run around and hit each other with it or touch each other with it. And the person that they touch has to run back to one of their vertical rings, touch it, and then they can come back out and play. So it takes them out of the game momentarily, you know, giving that 5-second, 10-second advantage to the team that has the bludger or the dodgeball. And then there's a person dressed in gold. He replaces the snitch, the thing that Harry Potter catches to win the match. Now, instead of that being worth 130 points, that's only worth 30 points, where if you throw your quaffle through the ring, that's worth 10 points. So it's a game, and you can see a picture on there of a guy tackling the guy in gold, and he has that little sock hanging on his back, kind of like a flag football. And they've got to retrieve that to get that 30 points. And you watch videos of it. It looks fun. You see there's kids that play it. And I guess back east, it's a popular game in schools. Schools play Quidditch, played at recess. They have teams and matches and all that stuff. And of course, it's not NCAA ready yet, but you know, and they've got actual jerseys. The teams have jerseys like Austin has this steer head, and Boston has a guy riding a horse holding a lamp, and New York has this crazy color pattern that's kind of gold and all this other stuff. It looks like it's a super fun game. I like it. It's my new favorite game. And you know where their last championship was held in Italy.
What?
Yeah, that's what I read. Their last championship was held in Italy. So this is fantastic. But anyway, so the news is Minneapolis is getting a team. Now the question is, right now they've got 12 teams split into divisions of 4. So they've got 3 divisions. With Minneapolis gaining a franchise, are 3 other cities gaining a franchise. Please say Salt Lake, so I can go watch some Major League Quidditch. So then we'll have 4 divisions all competing for the World Cup.
Okay, 2 things. 1, I need to get out more. I had no idea that Quidditch was anywhere outside of Harry Potter.
I had no idea either. There were some college kids that started it.
And 2, you know far more about Quidditch than anybody I've ever met.
I'm the only person you've ever met that knows anything about Quidditch. Just saying. I knew nothing about the actual Harry Potter game until I started studying this. I saw the news story and I was like, what does this mean? You know, I heard the word Quidditch and didn't quite correlate it until I dug in. But I went and watched videos of it. You can watch videos of the competition. There's lots of them on YouTube. And it looks fun. It looks super fun. And it's co-ed. It's, you know, so, I mean, it's not they do tackle each other and check each other, but it's not rough. And it doesn't look like any of them come out there aggressive. Maybe that's just because it's an unpaid sport for fun right now. But it looks fun. It looks like something I would thoroughly enjoy to play. I would love it. And some of their best players are girls. They've got a couple of girl seekers on there that are top rated of all their seekers, which are the person that chases the guy dressed in gold. That guy essentially is playing that football game where we throw the football, whoever caught it got tackled by everyone.
Interesting. Very interesting news story.
It looks, looks exciting. So that's my news story.
Mine.
I know it's goofy, but I like it. I found a passion researching the news this week, and it's great because I didn't have to take extra showers. I didn't feel gross or dirty afterwards. It was all exciting. It was all fun. It was just a lovely few days of researching.
Well, glad to hear. Mine comes to us from Great Britain. There's a Facebook page that I stumbled across. The Facebook page is called Finding Davo.
Davo?
Davo.
How do you spell
like
that?
Dave, but Davo, like a nickname for Dave, or David maybe.
Oh, okay, like Steve-O.
Finding Davo. You kind of trace it back, and this Facebook page was introduced on or about January 2nd. And the news story that subsequently followed was on or about January 4th. And the headline reads, "Woman in Great Britain seeking lost goldfish, Dave. Her goldfish is missing."
Okay.
She has made posters, "Missing Davo the goldfish."
Okay, hold on. She made posters?
Yeah. They're on. Like light poles. They're at convenience stores.
Have you seen my goldfish on the sidewalk?
Here's the thing.
Please don't run it over if you see it in the dark in your headlights.
Here's what she says. This woman is they only identify her as Tanya. Tanya reportedly.
I feel terrible for her because, that is a pet. But does she think the goldfish got out into the public?
Here's what she says. Tanya has not seen the goldfish since Tuesday. Dave shared a tank with 3 other fish. And she has clearly ruled out the possibility of her dogs, a Shih Tzu, and a Yorkshire Terrier having eaten Dave.
Well, those aren't very big dogs unless her fish tank's on the ground.
And she says her fish tank has a lid on it. She's emptied the filter. She's moved absolutely all the stones in the tank. She's checked all around the kitchen, underneath her counters. She can't find Davo. She is absolutely certain that he was taken.
Like someone stole her fish? Like someone broke in and stole her. Was it her favorite fish? Was it just because, how would that ransom look? Do you just lean the newspaper proving the date up against the fish tank, giving proof of life? You send in the tip of the dorsal fin. And how much? Okay, was she a rich person? You'd think the dogs would be more valuable to steal if it was for ransom. I could theoretically see somebody paying ransom for a stolen dog, but not for a stolen goldfish.
Well,
was it one of those big goldfish? Was it one of those big like koi that you buy, or was it a goldfish?
It's a goldfish. It was in a tank.
This goldfish, not this goldfish, not the one. This one.
Right. Little fish. So, one of the first posts on Facebook says, there he was last night, swimming around in his tank, minding his own business, and then whoosh, he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So, I checked out the Facebook post. I'm a friend of hers now on Facebook.
Okay.
Desperately.
Okay. So you
desperately seeking her goldfish.
She seemed like a nice person.
Yeah.
Well, she put out wanted posters for a goldfish. She's obviously a very loving pet owner.
A loving goldfish pet owner. Yes. Yes. She's completed her obligatory searches of her dogs. I don't know if it included a cavity search or not, but it's getting quite a bit of attention. with a little bit of luck, they'll find Davo.
She.
I can't. You just can't make this stuff up.
No,
or maybe she did.
I did see a headline on Facebook that I did not click on. A man ate girlfriend or ex-girlfriend's goldfish and then showed it to her after he ate it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Is that the one?
No, it's not.
There's a different one. Is there a rash of? Is there a rash of goldfish napping in?
Perhaps
the UK, right? Oh goodness. Okay,
and
so she hung
from
on
around the world are commenting on this.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm sure they are. I'm sure.
A comment yesterday says, "I say we find him now before this gets out of hand, and we have to chase a pelican to a dental office."
Oh, first world problems. My gosh.
Yep, a guy from the Gulf of Mexico.
There's probably some guy in or some child in northern Africa right now. Let's say the Congo, starving, who I would imagine the eyebrow raised would lift the eyebrow off his forehead and be replaced onto the back of his head. He'd be like, "What? A goldfish?
Yeah,
that can't even feed me, not let alone."
Yeah. So that's my news story. Viewers, if you have any information, if you have any information about the mysterious disappearing goldfish Davo, let us know. We'll forward it on.
Yeah, go to our website. We will we'll set up a page.
Yes, a help finding Davo
page where you can leave comments for what's the lady's name again?
Tanya.
For Tanya. We will, of course, filter those comments. We do not want to give the bereaved any negativity. We will take that negativity upon our shoulders. She will get only the helpful or encouraging comments. Matter of fact, I will take all the negative ones onto my shoulders alone. Bear this burden for Tanya. Love you, Tanya. Shocking. Impressive. It's and to the horrible goldfish nabbers, I hope you keep that tank clean. Google what you need to, how much to feed the fish, how much you need to oxygenate the water. I mean, if it's a beta, don't worry about it. But if it's a goldfish, you've got to feed them and oxygenate the water and clean the tank out. Maybe get 2 tanks so you can do tank swaps. Remember, when you're doing a tank swap, plastic bag, put it in the new water, let the stuff climatize, then release the fish. Make sure those temperatures match up. You do not want the fish going into hypothermic shock. We don't have little blankets.
Worst case scenario, if all you have left is a carcass because you jumped the gun, you weren't ready for this type of responsibility when you stole the fish, at least give Tanya back her fish carcass.
Yes.
Let her have a proper burial.
Apologize deeply and turn yourself in.
Yes.
Seriously, turn yourself in. I don't know where the animal, cruelty laws lie when it pertains to the goldfish. But face justice. That's how we make a better world, is by everyone owning up to their faults, flaws, and their mistakes. So you reached hard times, and you thought Tanya would be your ticket out.
Fish. Yeah,
your golden ticket. You could, I just, you made a mistake. Face up to it. Throw yourself at the mercy of the court, I guess, and honor and build a better world with us.
That's right. Now, on to our subject.
Did you get any pictures of the posters?
Yes, I do have pictures of the posters.
All right, we'll be printing those out. Those will be on our page, and we'll hang around us. too.
Yeah, we may hang a few here in Utah, just in case.
We should. I think we should. We'll start small. We'll hang them in just Twilla County. See what we get.
Yeah.
Those kinds with the little pull-off tabs.
Yes.
See me. Ooh, we'll put this fish on a milk carton. All right. On to the story. We would like to talk about Ouija boards today, or Ouija, or Ouija. However you say it, Ouija. What are they? Where do they come from? How did this thing appear? This honestly kind of it started out as a tool for entertainment, then kind of became a toy for a while, and then drifted into the dark, evil sewers of, where only people who want to take on Satan and supernatural powers reside. But it's got a kind of a lengthy history, and it's the Ouija board is a form of scrying, and scrying has been with us humans for as long as we have records of it. The Egyptians scryed in oil. Europeans read bones, sometimes floating on blood. So they would have huge sacrifices of people and animals and gather the blood, and then they would read sacred bones of cats or gerbils, whatever, on that. So the bones would
sacred gerbils.
Yeah. They would kind of, what
kind of sacrifice is this?
It's like kosher salt, I suppose. You have to pray while you get the gerbil bones, and then constant prayer while you bleach them and let the sun turn them white. I don't know. I don't know. They didn't leave many letters for us. But so it's been around forever. The pre-Columbian Americans looked for smoke. But usually what was involved was a medium, such as the bones or tea leaves, things like that, and a smooth surface that would be mirrored. So the mirror, I think, was so that you could kind of focus on the reflection and kind of self-induced trance.
Stare deeply into the eyes of a gerbil killer.
How do you know he or she killed the gerbil? She may have a person for that.
That's
she
true.
might just be a contractor.
That's true. I would subcontract that out. That is disgusting.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
You don't even want to. They eat what are not gerbils? What are those other little fuzzy critters?
Guinea pigs?
Guinea pigs down in South America.
They're so little.
You get a crust of burnt guinea pig hair. They say, everyone says their favorite part is the feet.
Why?
They deep fry them.
Knuckly little feet?
And they deep fry the whole thing, and then
hair on.
Don't ask me why. I have no clue. I can't imagine. I don't know. Burnt hair doesn't smell good. Maybe it tastes good. It's got a nutty finish. I don't know.
It's like coffee.
Yeah, I love coffee, and I drink it black with no sugar. So
that has to taste very similar to burnt guinea pig hair.
Eric made some coffee this morning that'd curl your toes. So I'm pretty sure we're pretty close. But the first mention of scrying that we have is in the 10th century in a Persian text called the Shahnameh, Shahnaameh. I think
sounds like a song group.
That, or it sounds like someone ran one of those signs out where you slide the letters on, and he had all H's, and he's just like, I got to figure this out. There's a lot of H's in that bad boy. But scrying was mentioned in that, and it's ancient Persian, so, and I haven't dug into the Shahnameh for what it said in there, but,
it sounds.
So in the 1800s, it was really popular in Europe. A spiritualism movement kind of was rising in Europe. And it started like the late 1700s. And spiritualism seems to rise whenever there is strife, like economy, war, things like that. It seems to rise because there's a lot of confusion going on then. Send your son off to war, he dies, or you're doing okay, and the next thing you know, you're destitute because something that you didn't do or have control over happened. The Great Depression had it, the crash of 21, all this stuff. It always seems like that stuff comes in. Now, it came to America in 1848 with the Fox sisters. These were three sisters that held like seances in their home, or I'm sure they had a business later on because they became super popular and they'd make money off of this. And there'd be rapping on the wall when questions were answered or asked to answer the questions. And in 1862, Mary Todd Lincoln, wife of Abraham, held seances in the White House after Willie died. Willie was their son. He died of a horrible fever. And so Mary Todd had seances in her house. So it was really popular. It was a kind of a spiritualism at that time. And you know, I mean, if you look at 1862, you know, there's a whole thing called the Civil War going on. There's a lot of death, and then the death of their son. So spiritualism was in their surrounding area because of the death, and they were up north in the Union, right on the border of where the Union met the Confederacy. Really, not very far away, but right there. So a lot of parents would have had loved ones head south in war and not come home. So spiritualism would grow up even stronger then because, you know, they would want to find out, get in contact, make sure that their loved one has passed on, or, you know, whatever they did. You know, but there was a lot of confusion. And there was also some economic strife going on then too. I mean, first time we were ever taxed on a large basis, and the first time money was just printed, the origination of the greenback. So money's just printed. So that has a change on the economy with an inflationary kind of bent to it. So that might make things confusing for a lot of people and scary and understandable.
So that's basically they're reaching for something.
Yeah, they're reaching
and
for something.
That's not where this came from, but that's where it kind of gets its upswing.
Yeah, that's when it becomes strongest, is when people are sitting in a loss of confusion, and sometimes their minister can offer an answer to what's going on then, or you know, or whatever it is. They're not finding an answer there, so they seek out spiritualism. They go to a medium, or I don't know if tarot cards were big then, but something along those sorts. So it's during that strife, a lot of people reach out for that. It becomes super popular. You look at when popularity's hit, it's every time that nation goes to war. It was big in World War I, big in World War II. Not that big during Korea, but it did a big bounce. But Vietnam, it grew again. So war causes a lot of that because, especially I think, as a parent losing a child in a faraway country where sometimes you may get a letter from that child after he died, but
months and months in some cases.
Well, like after he died, like 2 weeks or even a day after he died, and you still don't know he died. So you might get that letter on Tuesday, and on Wednesday, the chaplain is at your doorstep telling you he died Monday, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's understandable, and I wouldn't disparage it in the least. It's interesting if you look at it culturally. In the mid 1800s, the psychograph is born. It was invented by Adolphus Theodor Wagner, patented in 1854. And it reads minds of people with nervous energy. And it's the first time that you really see a board with letters, and a means to read it, whether it was with the pendulum or with the, oh man, what's that little thing called, Betsy?
The planchette.
The planchette. With the pendulum or planchette appear. This is the first time it's patented. It's official. Yeah, that's a word. It'll chase my mind forever. So that's the first time it appears. And it's called the psychograph. And then in 1890, Charles Kennard, Elijah Bond, and Colonel Washington Bowie started the Kennard Novelty Company. So 1890, we're looking at 36 years after the psychograph, which was essentially a talking board is what they called them around that. But the psychograph is the first time it's official, it's patented, it has a name and someone you have to pay if you want to have one. Right.
And just to be clear, it wasn't designed to speak with people on the other side. It was designed to read, what did they call idiomotor energy or nervous energy.
Yeah, nervous energy. The psychograph was to help patients with certain ailments that made communication hard the other way, or people who maybe had something bothering them and they couldn't express that, so they would use that to as a medium to interpret that.
Right.
So 1890, Kennard, Bond, and Bowie started the Kennard Novelty Company. Medium Helen Peters, she was Bond's sister-in-law, supplied the name Ouija. Now, you've heard it say that it's oui and ja, meaning yes and yes in French and German, but supposedly when they asked the board what it meant, the board replied it meant good luck, but Peters, the medium, was wearing a locket with a woman's right activist, Ouida, at the time, and Ouija is a misreading of that. Now, Ouida was a novelist and suffragette author, and Peters kind of idolized her, and she had a little locket of it, and it had her name written at the top of the locket. So where exactly it came from, it probably depends on who you ask and how you want to ask it. It could be a mix of all of them. They could have sat around and had a hash out the name meeting.
Yeah, everyone toss in a letter.
Yeah. Now, the patent for the Ouija board was awarded in February 1891. The story behind it was, in order to get the patent, they had to demonstrate the board. They had to demonstrate that the board worked, and they had to guess the patent officer's name. Now, the patent officer was shocked. Now, remember the Bond guy, number 2 in that list of guys who put up the money? He was a patent lawyer. So I'm wondering if, and he was there, I'm wondering if this patent officer just didn't understand what really was going on here, because a patent lawyer would know the local patent officers' names. If he didn't, he wasn't even very good at his job. But so they guessed his name. He would come out on the steps of the patent office, shocked, with his hair stringy, and said, "I'm giving him this patent. The thing's magical." When really, come on.
You seem so.
Yeah. In 1893, William Fuld, who started out as an employee and stockholder, but he started out as an employee, and I think he bought stock with his part of his paychecks, which was, very common back around then, was running the company. He hadn't taken over aggressively, but he kind of bought more shares of stocks to where he was the major stockholder, and he rose up through the ranks of the employees. So he knew the business. He was, ground floor on the business of taking a board and drawing letters on it. He knew it.
He was expert.
Front and back.
Professional.
Yeah, he was a Ouija professional running a company. In 1927, Fuld fell off the roof of the new factory the Ouija board had told him to build and died. Now, they went from this. Yeah.
That's pretty ominous.
Yeah. So, but they started out in Baltimore, and then they built in Boston, and then in New York, and then a second plant in Baltimore and a second plant in New York. Well, and so the business was booming because they start up this business, and then 1900 rolls around. There's a hiccup in the economy. Then you have that whole World War One, the crash of 21 right after that. So it kept growing and growing and growing. The business was doing great for them.
And that's all they did was make Ouija boards?
I don't know. I know they made the Ouija board, the original one.
And I know that there was like 20 to 25 million of these sold.
Oh, yeah. And they were made on,
it's like probably, what, like 5 per household? Like, how many Ouija boards do you need?
Well, honestly, what it probably was is they weren't built on the most substantial stuff. So I imagine they broke, they wore out. I mean, you're running a planchette across them, you wore the letters off. And
you just got so many questions.
Before it had this ominous aura that it has now, it was probably fun family night, Friday nights, dad's off work, and, everybody got done sharing the same bathtub. So let's all play a quick game of the Ouija board,
Yes.
They probably a lot of times didn't give it the power that it has in the minds now. They probably just gave it fun. And also, if you look at it, say you've got a family of 5, mom, dad, 2.5 kids, whatever, back then, 32 kids, however you did it. Say if there was a grievance in the family for something going on. Say that mom is cooking the meat too much. She's burning that stuff. A Ouija board would be, much like the jester in the courts of old, a means that you could put that out there without doing much harm.
You just made that up.
I did just make that
right off the cuff.
Coming off the top of my head, but it sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, perhaps.
Whereas 5 of the kids are like, hey, how was dinner tonight? No, it was burnt, or I imagine they didn't have steak. How was the girl tonight? And, can we use...
Let's ask the Ouija board.
Yeah, so it could have been something like that. Yeah, I'm sure it had millions of different happenings. Maybe some schools used them to teach kids letters.
Who knows? It definitely did not have, in all the research we have done on this, the ominous, demonic undertone that it does today.
It had no stigma.
None.
None at all. None with Christianity, none with any of it.
Right. I mean, I would venture to say that a lot of these families were practicing Christian or Catholic or some religious base.
Boy, they better be.
And they had Ouija boards. You also don't see any reports from that time of demonic possession and those things that are associated with the Ouija board.
Yeah. Demonic possession. I don't know. I'm sure it existed then, but not around the Ouija board.
Right.
Usually it probably started out with, a person suffering psychosis, and then the preacher says, well, I haven't seen him in church in 3 weeks, and what does that tell you? Yeah. So he uses a pulpit to say, make sure you keep coming to church, which I understand his job. I mean, how could you be a preacher and not say, please join up to church? Because could you imagine being a father at a parish and it's just you on Sunday up there talking at yourself?
Hands in the
air.
Out there.
You want to fill those pews. It's not just about money. It could be the simple fact of that'd be a lonely job if no one came. That'd be pretty rough.
True. Multifaceted.
Yeah. So through the early and mid 1900s, there's an abundance of Ouija board stories from writers saying that this poem or this book I wrote came to me through the Ouija board. And a wealthy woman even left all the inheritance to a spirit living in her Ouija board in her will. The court stepped in and said, okay, wait a minute. No. You can't do that. But she tried that in her initial will. All right. And then Parker Brothers purchased the right to the Ouija board in 1966. Now, harken back to last week's story, Anton LaVey started the Church of Satan and the whole Devil's Bible in 1966.
What? Same year?
Same year.
That's
but of course, Parker Brothers didn't
launch it that
Ouija
year.
board till 67. So there's a stigma nowadays with it that doesn't seem to show up in the past. And when it seems to pop into our heads is around 73. In 1973, on the silver screen popped up The Exorcist. And it's a show about demon possession. And
the only thing I remember from The Exorcist is the vomit. That's it.
You mean the only thing you can't forget?
Yeah, that's the only thing. I don't remember seeing a Ouija board. I don't remember the storyline. I remember the little girl's head spinning around and vomiting green vomit everywhere. That's all I remember.
Well, yeah, see, in The Exorcist, the father, who's not as wealthy, finds out that his daughter is playing with the Ouija board in the basement by herself. And that's how the demon or devil, or I can't remember the name of the demon. It was the wind demon or something, got into her and possessed her.
Yeah, because there are rules. I've read them. The Ouija board has rules. It'll be interesting to see if our Ouija board came with the same rules.
Yeah, we ordered a Ouija board. Me personally, I don't think the Ouija board's a branch into the spiritual, just in my own mind. I kind of think more of it's a means for your subconscious to maybe express itself, if it is anything more than a parlor game.
The jury's out with me. That thing could be spinning around in your house right now, creating all kinds of havoc. I don't know.
So what you're saying is we're not opening at your house and giving it a stab?
That's correct, just in case. Yeah, you're going to have to, again, take one for the team.
I'll take one for the team. I will take this burden upon my shoulders, along with Tanya's burden. I have broad shoulders, and I will absorb this. I will gladly take this all.
I will pick some sage and I will cleanse your home prior to us using the Ouija board.
A smudging is what it's called?
Yes.
You will smudge my home?
Yes, I will smudge your home. I'm wondering if Tanya ordered a Ouija board. Boom, fish is gone. Do you know how many fish do you?
It could be. They
Where's
get Amazon in England as well, and that's where we got ours.
We should pray for your cat until your safe return.
Oh, that cat possessed the demon. Don't worry about that. Yeah. His name is already Beelzebub. The cat's name is Beelzebub. We just call him Bub for short. And that's what the boy named him. The first time we see Ouija board on movies or in the silver screen is in 1920s in a cartoon. It's in a cartoon, Crazy Spooky Tunes.
Crazy Spooky.
That's the first time we see it, was in a cartoon made for and sold to children. The first time we see the Ouija board. So it had no stigma then. 1924, The Uninvited. That's another scary show. The Ouija board shows up. This time, the planchette, which is a whiskey glass, is taken over by the spirits. 13 Ghosts. The Ouija board is used to foretell the doom, But the Ouija board never brought the evil in those early ones. The Ouija board just kind of was a means for the movie to tell you the bad stuff, to tell the protagonist that bad things are going to happen when it surrounds ghosts, because they're ghosts,
So is The Exorcist the first time the Ouija board summons the demon?
Oh, no. There's even before that, there's lots of times where the Ouija board brings spirits through and lets them haunt. It happens a lot. You've got the Exorcist is probably the first time that the Ouija board let the demon in and the movie was big and popular. Let's just say that.
Introduction.
But after that, it's just a tidal wave. We're talking 30, 40 movies or maybe 50 movies where the Ouija board is the crux that brought evil into the world.
And arguably, Monopoly has caused many more family fights than the Ouija board. So,
you know what? That would be an interesting show. How many people have died due to murder around a Monopoly table?
Right. So why would they choose the Ouija board? Why not Monopoly?
Because Monopoly is just a game. The Ouija board supposedly talks to ghosts and spirits.
Oh.
And then you have the 1973 kind of something is starting to ramp up. The satanic panic is starting, You've had Anton LaVey and the family and all these things that are kind of the foundation for the satanic panic, which if you look at it early on, the satanic panic may have had a point, I'm not saying
a tipping point.
Well, it may have had saying we're losing contact with some deeper morality. Something's going on.
Oh, I see. You're lending it. You're giving it some credence.
Yeah, and then the fundamentalists dropped their bomb on it, which was this is, devil coming through music and media and all that stuff. So it could be a little bit of all of that coming down because it's not any one thing, and there's not one person you can point at and say you made this happen. But it's everything and reactions of everyone at the same time.
The perfect satanic storm.
It is. The perfect crazy person storm at the very least.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at it, when the lives that got ruined because of that, with no foundation, the way psychologists interpret stuff wrong, the way law enforcement went about that the wrong way because it was children. And then people's lives were ruined, people's well-beings were ruined, and a sense of security in communities was lost, where they should have, a breath wasn't taken when a breath should have been taken. Nobody sat back and said, okay, where are we going with this? And what's our goal? What are we looking to achieve right now?
Right.
What's that purring sound? Do you hear that?
Is the Ouija board with you?
No, it's in Utah.
I hear nothing.
I'll be home on Monday. And after I come in and shower from my 13-hour drive, that's the first thing I'm opening. I'm excited to open that up.
We need to do a video of it. We need to make sure that we capture video evidence of the black cloud that is released when you cut through the tree.
You see my eyes change? Like we need two cameras, one looking at it, one looking at my face.
Yes.
One open up, you see my pupils, and then it's, that's when.
I'm wondering if they've decided to really grab hold of this marketing opportunity, and it's like got a scroll inside with the rules on it, and
that would now see a wooden stick with the two dials on the end, and a scroll not on paper, on fabric.
You know what I wonder? Do spirits from because people die all over the world. So what if some Chinese guy shows up? He can't communicate with that alphabet.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
okay, let's think about it.
It's pretty discriminatory.
If I'm digging into the spirit world of all, at the very least, 80 million years of human beings, how many spirits do I have to wade to just to get to one that recognizes what I'm talking about?
Right.
And did Neanderthal, did they count as us and go to the same spirit world, or they got their own? I mean, this is stuff I think about. This is why I'm not a ghost believer, because just to picture the timeline of just humanity on the earth, that little blip of humanity, how tiny and insignificant we are in the universe's grand scheme, but in ours, I mean, you and us being, even memory of you and me that will live on, doesn't even count if you spread out humanity. Like the memory of someone like Alexander the Great might shade a little bit of it, but not when you count all of humanity laid wide. It's just huge.
You would just have to stay in the room for years and years, wading through spirits, just wading through the onslaught.
Is someone there? And then we'll start out getting, you know, and I'll be like, I know what you're saying because you're my species, you know, and then the Neanderthal goes away. And then comes Cro-Magnon man, and then and then Homo sapiens shows up. You know, first Homo erectus shows up. And I got to put that away. And then Homo sapiens shows up. But yeah, so that's the Ouija board has been a real interesting read. I didn't know a lot about it, and
I think that's because we're taught, or at least it's implied, whether or not it's taught specifically, it's implied that it's a bad thing, that you shouldn't use it.
And it was taught universally through all churches, through all beliefs, you know, that it was bad, that it leaves you open to bad stuff. And, well, just, you know, and honestly, it might be, you know, maybe there's stuff I don't know about. I just don't see it. I don't see how it could be. I don't see why it could be. I don't see a rhyme or reason to anything like that being a thing. But again, you know, you're talking to someone who has an IQ of just hovering around 14, 15, you know, somewhere around there. You know, may not be very bright, but I can lift heavy things.
Back to the Neanderthal.
Back to the Neanderthal. That's right.
Yeah. So it has been an interesting read. I think that the Ouija board, its humble beginnings were, it was a complete perversion of its humble beginnings when at some point it was labeled a tool of the devil. I think that people who practice mediumship use it as a tool.
Yeah. Have you ever met an evil medium?
And they use it as that would be an interesting one. We should find an evil medium and create a show, The Evil Medium.
The Evil Medium? I think we'll just have to put out auditions and pretend we found one. Because honestly, I know of there may be some that seek a lot of money and maybe abuse what they're doing, but would you call that evil, or would you call that just, you know, they came in here, I gave them entertainment, they paid me a lot of money? I don't know if I'd label that as evil. I'd just label that as, you know, just someone wanted their money. I'm sure, but like, what would an evil medium be? Let's think about that. I mean, how could you have one?
Yeah. So the Ouija board it's kind of been placed into one of two camps. One is a demonic tool that leads to absolute, sure possession and destruction.
Yep.
And the second camp is a tool used by mediums to help capture the thoughts of their subconscious.
Or the third, a toy.
Yeah, a toy.
Big period at the end of it, call it a day.
Yeah, and I don't know how many people still consider it a toy.
Me.
Yeah. 1%.
Because honestly, you know, I don't have any belief in supernatural or the hereafter. I just don't believe that. I kind of have a belief in like empathy, that people can read other people. But thus far, I need to be shown something a little more to make me think about, is there supernatural or hereafter reaching through or providing any kind of substance or guidance?
And my belief system, I would think, is ever expanding, because I believe that you know, David Icke, which some call him crazy. I think
he'll be on a show.
Yeah, I think he's got.
Some call him crazy.
Yeah,
Everyone but David Icke.
But he's got this philosophy that the world is far not the world, but the universe and everything within it, the knowledge that we know about it as compared to the size of its actual expanse can fit onto the tip of a pencil. So the idea that we know everything is absurd.
Very true.
So I guess that my school of thought is, I don't know, but it's
the way Carl Sagan laid it out was, he laid it out. He did it in a 2D versus a 3D worlds, where 2D you have the dimension of this way and this way, and that's it. And what would 3D look like interacting with that? And he did that on that Cosmos show. And it's, if you haven't seen it, it's real thought-provoking and interesting to think that what if there is spirits, but they interact like that? And he doesn't answer a question. And this guy's a brilliant scientist, a physicist, and all that. He doesn't answer it. He says, what if, and then moves on to the stuff we do know. Because I like to concentrate on what we do know. It's like if I went to a car mechanic and I went in there and I said, my car's doing this. And he said, well, it could be this. And I went to another car mechanic that said, I've seen that before, and this is what I saw. It shows the same characteristics, and I will test for that. I know which car mechanic I'm going to leave my car with.
True.
And it's not going to be the one that says it could be this. But that's not disproving spiritualism, because they say this is what this is. So they may be right. I just haven't seen or felt evidence for that. Maybe I'm just not a open, empathetic person. I know I'm an empathetic person. Like, I feel empathy for other people in struggle, but I'm not an open, empathetic person to, I guess, things that I can't see or feel.
Well, maybe the Ouija board will change your mind.
It might. And what it might do is it might change the devil's mind that it enters into. I hope I get a cool devil. I mean, imagine I get a devil that enters into me that knows how to dress nice. Dude, I'll be stepping out on the street with some pointy tip shoes, maybe skinny jeans. People are like, who's that? That's Jared. No, that ain't Jared. Yeah, that's Jared. Look at that.
An interior decorator devil. Yes.
New job opening, new thing, start my own business.
That's what I'm saying.
Jared and Son Interior Design, wedding planning.
Well,
I would know what types of flowers or what. I want purple flowers. Oh, those are daffodilias or whatever.
Daffodilias. All right, well.
I mean, I have a few things that I'm very knowledgeable on. None of them apply very much to I know vehicles and other stuff, but yeah. None of them apply towards wedding planning or home decorating. I mean, you saw what I home decorate with. You're always telling me you want to change it.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the Smithsonian has a great page on the Ouija board and the history of it. It's great. Go and read it. That's where most of our information came from. It opened up my mind to a lot of stuff. Also, if you're a movie fan, go to OuijaBoardMovies.com and it lists all the times that Ouija boards show up in movies. It lists it whether it's a horror, a comedy, or if it shows up as a documentary. There's a couple of those. Come to our website, WeirdObscureWorld.com. Come there, glance around, leave a comment. Everything we have on here is going to pop up on there, so you can go through and read it. Fact check us. If you see we have made a mistake, please let us know. We would love to change it, and you get credit when we do change it. Let us know what mistakes we've made, what we can do better. Leave us tips and advice and come back. Hopefully next week when we come back, my co-host will have her voice back, and she'll be able to contribute some more, because the one-sided show with just me is not as fun, but I hope it was informative. But next week we want to be fun and informative. I like leaning more towards fun, but we do the best we can. Any outwards bets?
Give us a like. Share our website. Share our podcast.
Yes. Tell a friend.
The more viewers, the better. Tell a friend. And if you have a personal Ouija board story, we'd love to hear it.
We would love to hear it. We'd like to compile stories. Also, go on there. Send us your ghost stories. We want ghost stories. We want supernatural stories, Bigfoot stories. If you come across any entertaining news, let us know. Go check out the Major League Quidditch. Go check it out. Go on YouTube, watch our games. Looks fun. I want to tailgate it. I want to be a player. I want to support it. I'm getting me a t-shirt. I'm thinking leaning kind of towards Austin. They're this year's champions.
Well, and I'm going to keep looking for Davo.
You bet. You bet. We'll print that out. We're going to help Miss Tanya out. And Tanya, if you're listening to this, I'm so sorry for your loss. I did not mean if it sounded like I poked fun at you. I think you're a wonderful pet owner. And hopefully the community will come together and we can recover Dago. That's his name? Davo. We can recover Davo happy and healthy. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for listening. See you next week.